This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox Newscast.
Welcome, everybody, to the XNC Podcast. We have Colteastwood here today. We have the Mag here today. We're going to be talking slow. We're going to be talking fast. We're going to do all kinds of great things tonight. We got a great show. Let's get into it, Colt.
Thanks, Mag. That was a really good intro. I was actually telling Mag right before we went live, I'm like, hey, we should pretend like we're talking about some personal story, and we'll pretend like we don't think we're on the air. And then you just went with the intro.
You know what? I thought he was just being funny, and I'm like, I'll just ha ha ha. And then you said, lead us into the show, and I'm like, oh, I guess he wants me to actually lead into the show. So here we are. I was gonna have Mag go like,
so yeah, my neighbor's cat, came over and was trying to ask me on a date, and I don't know what to think about that because he makes good money. Yeah, but something like that. But we really appreciate you guys. Mag and I we don't talk as much during the week, so when we get here in the green room behind the scenes, Meg and I like to kind of just dump everything out that we've been up to, right? In like
4 minutes flat, we have to give each other the full week breakdown because we always say the same thing at the end of the show after we go. Cyberwolf, how's it going, man? Right after the show, I'm like, all right, Colt, I'll give you a shout tomorrow. We'll talk. I'm gonna message you on Wednesday. Blah 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 blah. All of a sudden, I'm going, it's Monday night, and it's like the 7 days just completely disappear, and both of us have these blazing schedules where it's just breakneck speed all week long, and before you blink twice, we're already back to Monday night. It's hilarious. Happens every week. I swear it's honest to God, Colt. I think it's, unless we're on vacation, that's the only time I think we message each other. Because other than that, when we're working, we are just going. And I actually was supposed to message him Friday. I had some things I had to discuss with Colt. And then it's Canadian Thanksgiving. So I had turkey coming out of my ears for the whole weekend. And here we are, and then it's back to work tomorrow. So any Canadians out there still celebrating, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And, of course, in the U.S., in about 7 weeks from now, we will do it all over again. So, anyways.
Well, I know. And one of my friends keeps telling me that the year is almost over. I'm like, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. But, yeah, I appreciate you, Meg. Welcome. This is episode 120 of the XCC Podcast. And if you're just joining us, maybe you're new. Probably not, because I got something to say about that in a second. But we are on the Colteastwood channel. We run the show live on their live streaming service, but you can also listen to this whenever you want, audio only for free on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and other platforms where you can check out the show. And thank you for doing that if you're here. And I know that you clicked the podcast so we can get into the meat. You want to know about what's going on hot in the news, but I got to say this really quick. There is a really important community that we've become a part of, and I have the opportunity to guest on different shows. I watch a lot of these podcasts in the community, and one thing I've always noticed, Mag, is that when I look over at the chat over here on my screen, it is by and large the majority of all the same people that are always gathering around together on this show, the Iron Lords, Rand Show, even shows like Renegade Realm, the Risk It for the Biscuits podcast, Boom's podcast, and you guys are all, you know what I'm talking about, right, Matt? They know they're all here.
Colt, nobody watches Risk It for the Biscuits podcast. Okay, those are all Russian sex bot accounts that he's hired to watch to pump up his numbers. It's actually just you, myself, and about 200-300 Russian sex bot sites that are watching the show. So, Risk It. I know you're out there somewhere, scumbag. I expect to see you in the chat any second now. Anyways,
to be the teeter of the totter, like to go against my co-host. There's something really great about Risk It's podcast. He has a really great panel of people that we're all friends with. One of these days, Risk It and Mag will get in an arm wrestling match or something. But the point being that you guys are all here. You're all around the community, and we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you. And I appreciate it. Anytime I just log into someone's show to watch, the people I see over here where the chat is, they're all the same great community, and we have to thank you for being here, and you're here for the news. Mag, so we're going to talk about the news in just a second, but I got to talk about what you've been playing, because I've been having a ball playing video games lately.
Well, let's listen. Here's the thing. Before I get into that, I just want to say you said one of the best parts about Risket's podcast.
Oh,
My favorite part about Risk It for the Biscuits podcast is when it's over. As soon as he hits the
Bang!
I couldn't even say the joke without laughing. Listen, as soon as he presses the end button, it's my favorite part of the day. Wonderful. Anyways, Risk It, I love you. I can't wait to see you in the chat. Drawn TJ Noof Nukem in the chat. I haven't seen you guys in a bit. Actually, speaking of which, very quickly before I get into what I'm playing. In a month from now, Noof Nukem and I are going to get together. We're gonna go hang out for a weekend in Niagara Falls. No, not a romantic getaway. We just hang out. We shoot the breeze. We have some drinks. We eat some burgers. We have a great time. Actually, the last time he came, we went to a haunted house. It's so scary. It was so scary. Anyways, great time. Anyways, what have I been playing?
Yeah, that's awesome.
As promised. Shout out to Noof. As promised. Well, for some people, excited for me to do it. I'm doing the 100% completions on 3 Resident Evils in honor of Halloween season, right? I'm still got Liza P going on in the corner on the Xbox side of things. And I got the Resident Evil 4. I finished that. I finished the Separate Ways DLC. And of course, Mag, got 100% it. And I am now 1 run away. I've done 2 runs on Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I'm 1 away from getting that 100% completion. That is I have to do it on Madhouse difficulty. I'm going to do that next. And then right after that is right into Resident Evil Village. And while I'm doing, and once I get that done, 100% that game, that's going to happen. Right after that, you know what? I'm going to download Forza Motorsport because I'm hearing good and not so good things. And I'm like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I can't speak on it. I can't speak on it unless I play it myself. I'm not going to fraud for everybody. So you know what? It's downloading, and I'm going to give it a shot this week. I just didn't have a chance this weekend because, like I said, it was Thanksgiving weekend, a lot of family stuff. But I will get into it, and by next week, I will give you my personal take on what I think about Forza Motorsport. However, this show tonight, we're going to be listening to Colt's take because Colt has been playing a lot of it. So anyways, Colt, get right into it, dude.
Yeah, we're going to have a segment about Forza Motorsport, but I swear, like a half an hour before we hit live, I completed, maybe it's an hour before, but I completed the final campaign mission. So the final campaign race. I've completed all of the available content outside of the multiplayer content. So I've done every race. They didn't pop an achievement. They're really stingy with the achievements for that, but I really enjoyed it. Played half of it on a racing wheel and seat until my butt got numb, and then I played the other half on controller, and gosh, I'll just talk about that a little bit later, but I've been getting all into the dank mood, starting a brand new playthrough of Cyberpunk, which I didn't want to do. And a 60% voted in a poll on social media that I put up, like, should I restart the game? 62% said, yes, you should restart. So I went with the winner wins. And I've even played the game with like a Blade Runner 2049 and a Blade Runner soundtrack on Spotify, playing quietly in the background. And wow, what a great atmospheric, cool game. Yes. And Mag, like playing those missions over again, I feel like, it's not because I'm old, but it's been 3 years, and I feel like about half of what I'm doing in the missions feels kind of fresh because it's been enough time, and it's been a great decision to start over, and I haven't even got near the Phantom Liberty stuff, so we have a good year ahead of us, and then I'll get into other games soon. So
okay, I was about to ask you. So I played Phantom Liberty. I forgot to mention that because I started it last week. You said
last week it had a really slow start.
It had a really slow start, and it picked up a bit. And then I'm not going to say anything else because I'm done with it. But either way, it was good. It was personally, my personal feeling. It's not CD Projekt Red's best DLC. I still think that their best DLC, for me personally, was Blood and Wine from Witcher 3. The Blood and Wine DLC from Witcher 3 was the best. Moves like Jagger. Listen, Jagger has already said twice in the chat now that I don't have what it takes to complete Resident Evil 7 on Madhouse difficulty. I'm gonna look for the camera for this one. I unlocked the unlimited circular saw by doing 2 other runs, and I finished the game in under 4 hours. Moves like Jagger. So let me tell you something. I'm gonna 100% complete that game by tomorrow, and then I'm gonna tag you in it next week. You best believe.
Don't
Anyways,
don't ever question Mag ever again.
sorry,
It's not allowed.
That's his. I'm just kidding. Moves like Jagger. His name is Moves like Jagger from now on. It's Jagger0718.
Oh, you were just. I was looking for him in the chat, and I'm like, you made that up. Nice.
No, I totally made that up. Yes, Blood and Wine was my favorite CD Projekt Red DLC that they've ever done. The other ones were okay, and Phantom Liberty I put as like my second favorite DLC. I'm not talking about the main games, just the DLC stories. I put it as my second. So it was good. It's worth the playthrough, and it's really worth the revisit. Is the thing. That's the key you were getting at, right? So
it is.
Anyways,
there's all those comparisons to Starfield, because I always thought when I played Starfield that they had similarities and some of the skeletal structure of stuff. That's weird. You'll know it when you play it. You're like, it makes you think of what Starfield could do or didn't do or does better than Cyberpunk and vice versa. But we got a super chat last week from Silent Cypher right as we were hitting the end button. This has been bugging me all week. Silent Cypher says, "Are you going to spatchcock the turkeys, Mag?" And you were talking about Thanksgiving. So what the heck is that?
Okay, I know it sounds incredibly rude, a word like spatchcock, but it actually isn't. Basically, it means you're just cutting and just. I can't even say it without laughing. It's like you're cutting. Like,
you're spatching and cocking it.
I can't. Please, Colt. It's a PG show. If you have a turkey or a whole chicken or whatever, and you cut it down the center and you basically spread it open, you basically lay it flat.
I thought you said this is a PG show.
There's no other way to explain it. Anyways,
you're
that's
a
basically
chef.
That's basically what that means. Okay, so for example, even if it's raw and you do something like that, right? You could spatchcock it, and then you could put it you could marinate it, and you could put it on a grill, right? You could barbecue it flattened out, that kind of thing. So that's essentially what it means.
Okay. Well, thank you for. I knew you would have the expert description for us, no matter how.
Although nobody on planet Earth calls it spatchcock. I've been a chef for almost 3 decades. Let me tell you something. Nobody says that, but it's really
not
funny.
something you yell across the kitchen over the hooded fans and whatnot.
We do use those words, but not in the ways that you would expect. Yes,
not in reference to actual food. Yeah.
No, not in reference to actual food. Everybody else has called those words in many different colorful language descriptions. However, that's just life in a kitchen. But if anybody watches the show The Bear is about 1/3 of how rough a real kitchen is. So it's pretty rough. And of course, Hell's Kitchen is a complete joke. Real kitchens are not like that. But anyways, carry on.
Okay.
No, God, not even close.
Boba Fett, welcome to the early access. You became a channel member today, right as the show is starting. And good old Collingwood, thank you for the Australian 5. He says, Mag, I heard that grunt after Colt read out my name in the subscriber shout out last episode.
Those are lies and propaganda. I did not do any such thing. Listen, I'm old, so old people make noises. Sometimes they just randomly. Yeah. I mean, have you ever heard an interview with Harrison Ford? They're like, Mr. Ford, what do you think about your new?
What do you think about playing Han Solo?
Yeah. Well, it paid me. So it might have just been an old man noise, okay?
Or you moved and your back did that thing and you. Yeah. I get out of the car and I'm like, and then I'm like, don't do that. Welcome to the channel membership. We got K-Wars85 and Professor Chaos. Welcome to the channel membership. I'm trying to see what car Professor Chaos is. I'm like, it looks like a BMW. I'm not sure. It's only part of it, but I've been all cars lately with Forza. Hey, just to let you guys know, hit the like button if you're enjoying the show, even though we haven't done anything yet. We try to give you, bing, bang, boom type of show in 2 hours, get you all the news, talk about all the discussions and topics that need to cover. So today we're going to talk about the exclusive remasters, believe it or not, from Bethesda. We're going to talk about an update to Halo. ABK is ready to close. There's a lot to go on. We're going to talk about that early on in the show. And we are going to also be talking about what's going on with some other Bethesda games and get a kind of a entertaining discussion about Forza Motorsport. I'll make that as fun and as enjoyable as possible because there is some fun ways to talk about a game where you're like, So yeah, we'll get into that. And there's a little bit going on with in the industry when it comes to that. So that's the meat of mostly what we're going to be talking about today. So hit the like button. Thank you so much for being here. Chat, we appreciate you. I haven't looked to see how many people. We've got about 500 people. And thank you for being here on a Monday. Let me get started, Mag, with briefly, because I haven't played it and you haven't played it, but I just want to say I'm hearing more good things about AC Mirage than I'm hearing bad things. It hasn't scored super well, but I just hear a lot of people are really enjoying it. When do you think you're going to get to this game? Because I'm thinking in about 3-4 weeks for me. What are you thinking?
That is all. That's so funny you say that. That is exactly pretty much my goal, because I already have my games lined up for the next month. As I was mentioning at the beginning of the show, I got to wrap up RE7. I got to wrap up. I'm not wrap up. I'm going to start and finish RE8 in about a week, and then I'm going to from there. I mean, I've also got what the hell is it called? Dead Island 2. I got to finish the completion on that one. When I say completion, listen, I'm not going to say 100% completion every time I say something. Okay, when I say completion, I do the 100%. Whether it's on Xbox or PlayStation, I'll get the 1,000. I'll get the 1,000 or the platinum, and that's all there is to it because I love doing it. I got to finish Dead Island 2, and then I'm going to move into Spider-Man and AC Mirage. So, that being the case, my guesstimation would be the first week of November. I want to get it in, and I want to get it completed before Modern Warfare 3. And I'm not a monster COD. Now, I'm not a monster COD player for, like, the entire year, but man, do I go hard for, like, 3 months. So I'll complete the campaign, obviously, and then I'll go back and do it on Veteran, and then I do the zombies, and I finish the zombies, and I have fun with that, and then I'll do the multiplayer for about a month or two, especially with the community and stuff like that, and you know, some people out there, we get together, we play, and whatever, and then that's it, and then by January it's done. I move on to other things, right? And that's of course a supplemental game to me, right? That's the kind of game that you play on the side. So like when I'm doing, like, let's say, if I have a night that I'm dedicating to gaming and I got like 3-4 hours, which is rare, but if I do, I'll do like, 2-3 hours of a story, and then I'll go play multiplayer for an hour before I go to bed or something like that. You know what I mean?
Get a little bit of both in. Yeah.
Just like muck around for about an hour, just play some multiplayer, have some fun, kill some people, have a few laughs, and then just move on from there, right? And then so that's the plan. In about a month, I heard, as we both know, is that it's more like the old style, and we're talking about like the Assassin's Creed Unity, Assassin's Creed Black.
Even earlier. Even
earlier. And
well, there's sort of I guess there's sort of 3 generations of Assassin's Creed, and I asked the chat. I said, "Are you excited?" I think that's the word I used. Are you excited about Assassin's Creed Mirage? Like that can mean, maybe I'm going to wait for a sale, but maybe there's people that are. Right now, it's 64% are in the no, so maybe there's people. Don't let the votes influence you, but I'm not super excited about it, but I really want to play it, especially after doing driving and replaying Cyberpunk. I'm kind of itching for that new experience again, but I just do hear good things about it.
I've seen some videos. I've seen some nice some clips. I don't watch a lot of that stuff because I kind of just want a gist of the game. Right? Yep. Give me like a minute and a half of gameplay, and I'm like, all right, I get it. And then I turn it off because I don't want it spoiled. I don't want to see everything. I like to discover these things for myself.
You get the gist in like a few seconds. Like, chat, let us know in the chat when there's a gameplay video up for an upcoming game. Do you end up watching maybe a minute and then you back out like we do? Or do you like to just take it all in and kind of study all of the mechanics and the animations and the way so you know what you're jumping into? And then there's no wrong answer to that for that, I'm sure. But I mean, for many years, Mag, I think we're both the same. I watch just enough and I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I back out. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're paying for an experience. Yeah. I'm not paying to watch somebody else experience it, right? I just want to see what I'm getting into, and then I walk away. There's another game in there, for example, like I don't need to do that with Spider-Man. I already know what Spider-Man is. It's going to be better, but it's like I don't need to watch a video and say, oh, I wonder what this game's going to be like, right? I already know. Yeah. Oh, I just avoid all that stuff. I did, however, watch, someone mentioned in the chat, actually, Lords of the Fallen is another game coming out in about a week or so.
Yep.
I'm going to wait until the new year when it's on sale, not because I'm not looking forward to it. It's just I'm not going to get to it. So why pay full price for something that I'm not actually going to play, and I'm just going to stick in the backlog? You know what I mean? And I'll get to it in 3 months.
Pay day one full price, yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid. So what I
didn't even mention Alan Wake 2. Like that's another one that a lot of people are excited about.
I know.
And then we end the year with Avatar frontiers of the people that are blue skinned. Like that game's coming out, which I'm looking forward to. I think that's the official name of the game. Tall blue people that aren't Smurfs, the adventure. That's what it's called. I think
that's what it should have been called. Yeah, James Cameron making $4 billion in 2 movies. He's obviously wrong. That's what it should have been called from day one. Abdel 114. You missed the beginning of the show. I did play Separate Ways, Resident Evil 4, and it was worth every single penny because it's only like $10 or $12 or something. So it was well worth it.
Yeah.
So Alan Wake's another one. So what I do is if there are games that I absolutely know I'm going to buy, but I'm not going to get to them right away, I just write them down. I write them down on a list so I don't forget them. So then when a sale comes on, I refer to the list. I go, oh, right, Alan Wake 2. Let me take that check for whatever. Alan Wake 2, what the hell we just talked, Lords of the Fallen, that kind of thing. Maybe Final Fantasy 16 next year if I even want to play it. I'm not sure. But I put them on a list, and then I'll go and I'll check the sale and see if they're there. If they're there, great. If they're not...
It makes it hard for me with, like, if my friends want me to jump into Call of Duty with them, Call of Duty is always out next to the big single-player games where I'm like, yeah, but I was kind of in the middle. Like, they try to pull you away in a party chat. And speaking of party chats, last night I was talking to Manic Master, Red Wolf, Jay Fonzarelli, Fonz Gaming, Randall Thor, and we were just having a great time just catching up because there's been a lot of stuff going on in the community, and shout out to the people, you know who you are, that have been through tough things. Tough life is getting difficult, and we've been able to rally around each other and become a great support structure, and I really appreciated that as much as I'm sure they appreciate that. But last night, Red Wolf and I were laughing so hard, Mag, that and it was like 1 a.m, that my upper abs were completely locked and my jaw, we were both laughing so hard, and Ram's like, what is wrong with you guys? And we were just in hysterics over just like little jokes. And that stuff really means a lot. He's in the chat. Let's talk about the gaming news because hot off of an insider who I'm going to leave this one super anonymous, said that I covered in a video that Fallout 3 remaster and Oblivion's remaster on going forward is going to be a multi-plat, and it only serves, Mag, I said it only serves the PlayStation console because they have zero back compat. Because right now, you can play Fallout 3 or Oblivion Remaster at 4K 60 thanks to Xbox's back compat, Hochi method, and FPS boost, and all that stuff. You can basically get the standard PC version. So I'm like, why are they doing Oblivion, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout 3 Remaster? And this source, which will remain anonymous, told me, Colt, you got it wrong in your video. I've heard from the lines and the vines that they are going against the grain and making Fallout 3 Remaster and Oblivion Remaster completely exclusive to the Xbox platform, and it will not have a PlayStation release. I don't believe it, but that's what I'm being told, and I'm going to say that again. I don't believe it. I fully expect it to be multi-plat. I even said, why in the world would they do that, Mag? Like, why wouldn't... Phil has said... Here, I'm going to let you say it. What has Phil said, and what do you expect? Otherwise, I'll just talk for 9 years.
Well, I mean, no, he talked about legacy titles in the past, right? To say they will remain with it. Now, the thing is, he's not lying, per se. It's not that even... Because you could play the game right now, just in its original form. Yeah. That's all of that. You know what I mean? So on a technical level, he's telling the truth, saying, well, the legacy titles will remain there. Of course they're because if you pull up the PlayStation 3, you're still able to play Oblivion. Right? Was it PlayStation 3 or 2?
Yeah, it's on PlayStation 3 for both of them. I
can't remember if it was PS2 or PS3.
Yeah, it's like it was early PlayStation 3, and then Fallout 3 was 3 years later. So, yeah, middle of the PS3.
So you can go back on your PS3. Yeah, exactly. You can go on your PS3 and play it if you want. So technically, or if you had a digital, you could play it, no problem. Now the thing is, I personally don't think that this makes any sense to have the remasters only on Xbox. They own it, so put them on Game Pass for Game Pass subscribers to enjoy because it's right there. Right, and everybody can access it and whatever and blah 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 blah. But why would you limit your profitability if there's a chance that someone else will go out there and purchase these games at obviously a heavily discounted price? What the hell?
Like I said, like if you're on Xbox, if you have an Xbox One X or an Xbox Series S or Series X, like you could easily have already owned this game and have dabbled in it throughout the past few years and even recently. when you say like you can still plug in a PS3, like they're completely cut off from those two titles, Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls Oblivion, because they can only play them if they plug in an old PS3 and they happen to have the disc or they own it digitally, or if it is even in their PlayStation Now Gaikai streaming thing, but still you're not getting a very great experience.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you know what? It'd be kind of fun though. They should just do it for fun. Just
do
to
what?
See what happens. Just to
do
release those games on the PlayStation, just to see what happens.
I think why not?
What the hell's the difference at this point?
Right, because they just released Quake 2 like a month ago, and then let's say 6 months ago or last year, Quake 1 remaster, and then the Skyrim collection remaster type thing, like was multi-plat. But you know what it makes me think, audience? I love that. You know what, audience? You know what that makes me think is that Phil is like, you know what? We're done. PlayStation does not get any more of our games. We're done.
Or there's that. Yeah.
Like, is that a thing?
Well, why not? I mean, it's tricky though because of who they purchased. That's where it gets tricky. Like for example, I would think that more the Activision Blizzard thing is more the trickier side of things, where we could see that Bethesda, that could stay with Xbox because. Those titles can stay there. That's fine. But like when you get games like
yell at Magnum Westward real quick before you get into this.
What is that scumbag one? I'm trying to look at my screen at all times. But you know what?
He goes, "Why are you guys yelling?" I was like,
"We're not yelling. We're just old and we're deaf. Like, what the hell do you want from us?"
It's like the podcast way is just to yell the whole time because when I'm done with the show, I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Hey man, it's just we tend to project or whatever, but it's just a natural thing. If you podcast or you try it, it's either people are talking way too quiet or way too loud. It's very rare that you get someone sort of in the middle, right? But
we're the light that burns twice as bright but lasts half as long, right? That's us.
No, we're lasting forever. So, but we're just gonna keep going. And
so anyway, go back to what you're saying. I'm sorry. Thanks for Magnum.
No, it's all good. The thing is, when you get to the Activision Blizzard side of things, that's where it's going to get a little trickier. When you got your Call of Duties, when you got your Diablos, you got your games like that. There is absolutely, I don't care what anybody says, is 0 sense in keeping that only on Xbox, right? And they know that, and everybody else knows that. Anybody with with half a brain knows that they're gonna make bank, bro. Okay, so like why not, right? But the thing is with Bethesda, what the hell? Do whatever you want. I just think it's kind of. I think for giggles, I say release them digitally on PlayStation. Obviously, don't press a disc. Just release.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't know about that. But Lone Wolf Gamer says the gloves are off, and I'm starting to think that I don't fully agree or believe that these will be exclusive to Xbox Game Pass and PC, but it kind of gets you an insight into Phil's like, you know what, we're already giving them Call of Duty and whatever else that comes with the Activision Blizzard agreement, like definitely Call of Duty. Like, you know what? We're done. We're done, floating this dying brand that is PlayStation. I'm just kidding. But no, we there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to over 700 as well, which is really nice on a Monday.
Yeah, and you know what? Fine. I actually personally thought that all Bethesda games going forward would stay on the Xbox and just stay there, because, like I said, those are more geared towards. It almost comes across as more as an exclusive sort of type, because a lot of single player games, things that you're not getting many games as a service out of Bethesda, right? You're getting single player games.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Like your Starfields. Your Elder Scrolls, that kind of stuff, your Wolfensteins, your soon-to-be Indiana Jones, and that kind of thing. Those are single-player games. There's no point. Just keep them there in the Xbox, build the community, see the numbers go up, hopefully, preferably, right? But there's no point in that. Now, the other side of the coin, like I said, the Activision Blizzard, you keep those multi-plat because those are important for the growth of the company. You don't spend $70 billion just to say mine. You're paying $70 billion because it's all about return on investment, right? And it's also an investment in the future, because you could actually look at that. I know this sounds rather controversial, but I'm sort of going off on a tangent here, but I'll be quick. It might come across as controversial, but if anything were to happen to Xbox, let's just say they decide to close up shop one day and say, forget it, no more consoles. We're just going to be, you know what they could do? They could still be a publisher. and make billions of dollars just being a publisher. So don't think that that's not a possibility of, I'm not saying it's a possibility, excuse me. Don't think that that wasn't a contingency plan in case all else fails, right? They're saying, hey, you know what? We'll spend $70 billion. We're going to grow the Xbox. It's going to be huge. It's going to be way bigger than it's been before. We're expanding, getting bigger. They went from 6 studios to 36 studios. It's a huge thing. But if all else fails and everything else goes to hell, at least we're a publisher now.
And to be fair, that in the 2030s, if consoles kind of really dwindle in their market excitement or how popular they are, which is a real reality that we may face, and we'll be fine with it. But yeah, the point is that when consoles kind of start shrinking in the zeitgeist, in the end they're all just publishers. Like PlayStation's the majority of their business is publishing games or publishing other people's games through agreements, and then they make the console. And as long as Xbox has a console, PlayStation has a console, everyone likes to focus that their console platform that also publishes games, but really in the end they're all game publishers, which is very well said, Meg.
Oh, that's all I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to upset anybody. I was just like, no, it's just realities that they come up with plan A, B, C, D, and E, and they're just like, okay, well, what happens if? What happens if? What happens if? What happens if? Because you don't just buy something $70 billion on a whim. You know what I mean? That's something that you deeply plan out, and you plan out all fail-safe scenarios that go down with that, right? Anybody who does anything of that magnitude would know that that's how it works. Same thing, I do the same thing with my business. We have to have these fail-safes and say, okay, what happens if we go broke tomorrow? What happens then? And then we have contingency plans, right?
Yeah.
PlayStation, same thing. PlayStation, if they were to decide to not do a PS6 and they're like, forget it, we're out, they're just going to become PlayStation Studios.
I mean, they've got a contingency plan for a rough, 12 months they're about to go through, but Xbox had a contingency plan for the 12 months they went through. We're going to talk about ABK in just a second. RC Polygons, thank you for the 5. Says, did you see IGN keep posting their article about Elder Scrolls 6 being exclusive over and over? Are people at IGN, Adrian, that's a good name for him. Are people at IGN still angry at Xbox for buying Bethesda? No,
I don't think so.
No. I mean, answer this one, Meg, and then I'll take the next one
sure.
for answers.
Oh, you want me to answer?
Yeah. I mean, IGN just keeps.
No.
It was a June. I'm pretty sure it was June 2023. The court document revealed that Phil said we're going to make Elder Scrolls exclusive, and it seems like IGN has reposted this article and slightly updated and keep reposting it on socials every 2 weeks.
Yeah. We discussed this before, chat, and of course Colt. We've discussed this before. What this is it all drives traffic, right? Mm-hmm. And it is designed to, it's inflammatory on purpose, right? It's doing that so that it inflames the PlayStation community, it inflames the Xbox community, and then guess what? You're maximizing your views by getting both people in there and arguing.
Is it possible that some journalist gaming websites incite console wars semi-nicely to generate traffic? Is that a possibility?
You don't say, Colteastwood. I wish I had my Sherlock Holmes hat and a pipe for that one. I would have been like, absolutely, sir.
I deduce for sure. Yeah, I deduce.
Of course, that's what they do. And they do the same thing with politics, with war, with everything. And then they'll just do something to inflame everybody at once. And then what? Maximize your audience. Yeah. Instead of getting 5 million clicks, you get 10 million clicks because you have 5 million pissed off Xbox players on one side and 5 million upset PlayStation on the other side. And now you've got 10 million clicks instead of 5.
So right? I understand why people get mad. Like when I see that over and over, of course, I get that reaction, right? Like, gosh, seriously? And I replied to them yesterday and I said, Google the word ad nauseum because they've done it over and over. But think about how perfectly this is. I'm going to go back to his chat because he quotes the headline really well. Well, no, he didn't quote the headline, but the headline is documents reveal that Elder Scrolls 6, I'll stop. So you have a proof. You have a reveal on something that is unknown or is not proven yet, but documents reveal that Elder Scrolls 6, there's another hot piece of package. Elder Scrolls 6 is really big. Lots of people want to know anything about Elder Scrolls 6. Is exclusive, another big word, to Xbox and not on PS5. So now that's like a 5-pronged, well, people call it clickbait, but a click generating or a traffic generating or a very alluring title where Xbox guys are going to go, yeah, take it, right? Suck it. And then the
Wow.
PlayStation guys are going to be like, what? Are you kidding me? And then, I mean, it's a win-win for IGN, but depending on which side you're, well, I mean, let's be honest. PlayStation guys are going to be mad at that article. Xbox guys are going to be mad at that article because they're like, how do you not know this? So I guess you got to say a brilliant headline, but stop posting it all over. Cord Wayner says Colt is just intimidated by professional journalists. Yeah, because I'm not professional. I have no professional amount of bone, and I'm just not a professional guy. No, I'm not intimidated. I'm very, very happy to actually be friends with some of these people. So, like Destin works for IGN, so I don't try not to go after IGN because that's like his place of work, and we're going to get into some of the stuff he went through as well. Let's move forward the news because ABK is supposed to close, according to some of the experts, October 13th, Friday the 13th. But Hoag's Law is saying it might even be sooner than that because they put out a tweet. Blizzard and Activision's Twitter put out this tweet, and I'm going to read it for you. Says, it's awesome to see the anticipation building for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 as we continue to work toward regulatory approval of the Microsoft deal. We've been getting some questions whether our upcoming and recently launched games will be available via Game Pass. Remember what I said, upcoming and recently launched. That's important. While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 coming in November or Diablo 4 that came out in June into Game Pass. I think I have those dates right. Good enough. Once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world. More players. I love that because that goes to my narrative. And we anticipate that we would begin adding games into Game Pass sometime in the course of the next year. Meg, thoughts on this? I don't know if you've read this.
Yeah,
tweet.
I did.
It blew up.
I did read it.
So what do you think?
Here's the thing. I did say last week, to the chagrin of some people, saying, what's Mag on about? And I said, you're not going to see the fruitions, you're not going to see the fruits of this labor until next year. It'll close. It could close tomorrow, right? But when they start actually putting games in there, whatever, I expect, actually, personally, I think that they're going to do, if they do it this week, I expect game drops of back catalog games. I would say a great time to announce that would be during the Game Award show.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Why not?
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
let's say Phil comes out, does his little spiel, hey, we as gamers, blah, 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 blah. Is like, all love in the community, da, 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 da. He does a little, the speech that they all give. And then he comes up and does a thing and said, hey, as some of you know, we were part of ABK and we're going to bring more games to more players all over the world, da, 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 da. And then he says, and for any Game Pass subscribers, right after the show, we're going to be releasing all the back catalogs of Call of Duty will be available, and all the multiplayer and whatever will be available now.
It's like 20 games or something. 20 Call of Duty games.
Right after the show or something of that nature. And then boom, there you go. That's how you start it.
Nice.
And then from Jan, like you know what I mean? Like drop a big hammer on everybody and say like, yo, like make a big splash at the Game Awards show. That would be the talk of the town. Even if they're old games, people are still going to go back and start downloading them. Like
they already are. On some of them,
and
right?
There's, what? I actually never bought Vanguard. It slipped through my fingers and I forgot all about it. Like, I'll go back and play Vanguard. I never played it. And then, you know what? The multiplayer, they'll all be on Xbox servers now. Not those, oh boy, I almost swore on the show. Those awful, way that Activision runs their servers.
Yeah.
And whatever, right? So they're all going to be on Microsoft now. Everything's going to be running great, fantastic. Then starting in January, you start dropping other ones, like a couple of games a month of back catalog, your Tony Hawks, your Crash Bandicoots, your Diablos, your whatever, right? And slowly start to build up that, which I think will be, because it's so big. I think Activision Blizzard King is such a big department now. It's going to be like EA Play, and it's going to have a completely subsection inside of Game Pass.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a good point. It is kind of like...
Yeah,
I don't know if they'll separate it, but it is really like adding EA Play, well, maybe even more games. It's interesting because Jez Corden of Windows Central spoke up about this today in lieu of I don't often use the word lieu, but in lieu of this Activision Blizzard tweet, to kind of shed some more light on why they said this. He also, you know what, I'm not going to quote him on this part. I'm just going to say somebody else said it, that this tweet from Activision Blizzard was a joint effort between Xbox, Activision, and Blizzard, because all the buzz and all the questions going on. They both decided as a partnership to make this tweet to give people an expectation, like, we're not going to be able to throw stuff on Game Pass this year, but early next year, when everything's all taken care of and all the manila envelopes are closed, that games are going to start dropping on Game Pass, like Meg says. Even if they can announce it, maybe, you know, officially, they can drop very early next year, which could be as little as 2 months. So Jez Corden said, beyond Call of Duty, this is exactly what you were saying, Mag. Beyond Call of Duty, he says, there are dozens, maybe hundreds of legacy titles. Microsoft is set to gain reams of highly visible, oops, I skipped a line, of legacy titles Microsoft and Activision could throw into Game Pass. There, that makes sense, doesn't it? From Spyro to StarCraft, Microsoft is set to gain reams of highly visible, memorable, and nostalgic franchises, many of which are dormant and ripe for a revival, close quote, which is perfectly said, that everyone's been begging for them to do something other than Call of Duty. And I guess I got to ask, Meg, what your opinion, we both just discussed this briefly. Do you think that Phil and the team and the offering of Game Pass means that they're going to have a little bit of pull to say, hey, let's do something more than just Call of Duty with these 10, 11 studios?
Obviously, no, 100%. And the thing is, what's brilliant about the move, at least from their point of view, is they could utilize Game Pass as a litmus test to see what they can revive in the future, because they can look at what the engagement is on some of those legacy titles. Like, for example, let's say on the PC side of things, not the Xbox, or not on console anyway, the King's Quest series, because you know they're going to be buying Sierra. Sierra's in there, right, as well. They own Sierra, so it's going to be King's Quest, Police Quest.
Are they still
anybody
Sierra?
old enough? Well, they are. Yeah,
I think they're there,
exist.
but they changed names. If I remember, it doesn't matter.
Well,
Show
either way,
goes on.
they own the IP, right? So if you've got, like, you know, King's Quest, Police Quest, all those other Space Quest, all those games in there, throw them on the PC side of things. If all of a sudden you see a revival and interest, they'll say, hey, you know what? Let's put, I don't know, $50 million towards a new whatever, Space Quest or a new King's Quest or something like that. Because remember, those were text-based, right? A lot of the commands were text-based in those days.
Gosh.
Yeah, so like, but I mean, it was like, you know, it was basically like 3D adventure, but you had to type, look behind rock, look at tree, that kind of stuff, right? And that, you know what's funny? That's how I learned how to type, actually. When I was a kid, I learned how to type because of King's Quest, and that's why my dad bought it. And dude, I could type like a beast now because of the King's Quest games when I was a kid.
You had motivation.
Yeah, because you were doing something. You were having fun. You were playing a game, right? Or how about Spyro? Or how about Tony Hawk? I know they revived Tony Hawk a few years ago, but, you know, okay, let's take Spyro, for example, or another Crash Bandicoot. Sure. Again, they released one a couple years ago. But what if you drop them on there? Hey, didn't they do like a Spyro trilogy just a little while ago, a remaster or whatever?
Yeah, like 2019, I think.
Yeah, all right. You throw it into Game Pass, and you see how it goes, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? A lot of engagement there. There's obviously interest. Why don't we put a small team on that? You know, on a new Spyro for, you know, whatever, 3 years from now or 2 years from now. Or same thing with Crash Bandicoot, or same thing with Tony Hawk. Maybe go back and remaster all of the Tony Hawks. That kind of thing. And at the same time, you've got the juggernaut Call of Duty basically keeping you afloat, getting all that money and the revenue moving in, and the Diablos and whatever else. You got that money machine basically printing cash, and that's why it's important to stay on PlayStation, and I think they should promote the hell out of it on PlayStation. Because there's a huge community over there that you do not want to lock out, because that's going to bring in so much money to keep them going and be able to fund new IP for people who are on the Xbox ecosystem. It's a win-win situation. It's basically a symbiont circle that they're actually all benefiting from it, right? So you have to basically be involved with everybody, and that's the way it's got to be.
I mean,
anybody
I'm starting to go
beyond that. Don't be stupid. That's just you're not thinking with a business brain. You know, you got to think business, not personal.
And I'm starting to kind of lean toward maybe it is just Call of Duty and a few titles like Overwatch and maybe another Diablo, but I think maybe Xbox is planning on making those games unique to draw them to buy an Xbox, buy them from the PC game store on Xbox, or get on Game Pass. Let me look at. I've got a couple supers here. Oh yeah, this one's fairly new, but this other one I meant to answer early. Hey Blinken, which is a cool name. Hey Blinken, which is that's great. A $10 super. Yeah, we're getting it now. He $10 super. He says, hey, whatever happened to Flintlock Siege of Dawn? This is a third-person action adventure game that's set in like kind of a fantasy era. It's got a female character. It's like melee based from Focus Entertainment, who's had they've had a rough year, I guess. But I think I don't know, but they've asked for more time, so I would expect that to move in an extra year. So we'll probably see it in early spring, but that's coming to Game Pass day and date, and it is a multi-plat. Red Wolf, thank you so much for, I don't know why you do this, but he gifted a channel membership, and I appreciate it, to Sin. Sin is now a member of the Colteastwood channel. B. Martin, thank you so much for the Canadian 10. He says, Colt and Meg, what is your most anticipated upcoming first-party Xbox game?
Senua's Saga 2. There's nothing else even close for me.
Wow.
The other ones, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna play them. It's not like I'm not gonna play them. I am. That's the one that I'm excited for because I'm excited to see where they take it. That's like I liked the first one. It was more like a sort of like a walking sort of simulator kind of deal where you just you're kind of exploring and stuff. But if they plan on expanding that world even further, which it seems like they are, they've been working on it forever. So. Mm-hmm. It's been, it's going to be like 4 years from when their announcement. No, longer. 5 years, 6 years, whatever it's been.
Maybe almost 6. I talked to somebody today that said they wouldn't be surprised if Hellblade was set for before summer of this year, that it will come out before what would be my next most anticipated. Shoot. I was going to say Avowed, and I'm really excited about Avowed, but I think I might be more excited for Fable because I love the third person. I love the I have magic, I have a melee weapon, and you choose between those or you use both. I'm looking forward to that. Probably Fable is my most anticipated upcoming first party game.
I kept Fable out of it because I don't know if it's going to release next year. That's the only I'm not.
He says upcoming. That's kind of why you and I were probably both thinking Avowed or Fable.
Because Avowed or Fable, we know are going to come within the year, but I'm not sure about Fable. I mean, I know they showed it again.
I think Fable's 2025. So B. Martin, no, I'm going to go with Avowed for upcoming, and Mag is with
Senua's Saga.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where they take it.
That blue number, an esteemed rock star on Risk It for the Biscuits podcast, gifted 5 channel memberships, which gets you early access, puts you into a swimming pool of a giveaway that I do once a month for merch of your choice. I'm wearing a worn out ecstasy shirt, but I send a link to the winner and I say, pick something, I'll ship it out. And my channel moderator is always like, make sure you're doing your giveaways. And, sometimes there's violence involved if I don't get it done in time. But we appreciate everybody. Channel members are Preston, welcome, Grandpa Barbecue Game Cat, which is one of our favorite names, Tony B3, C-Note, and Dr. Dinglenut, which is also your nickname back in high school. But yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Dr. Dinglenut, I've seen that. I haven't seen that name for literally years. Yeah, so it's great to see him still bumping around the community.
I mean, that's what I said at the intro of the show. Like, these people that are here, like they've always gathered around all of these people they consider friends, and we also consider you part of our friendship. So Viper XT, thank you for the Canadian $10. He says, I came in late. Did you talk about the upgrade for Redfall? No, I will talk about it in a little bit. I'll try and make it brief because I could go on a soapbox for years. He says, if not, have you tried it? What do you think of the improvements? I'm pleased with what they've done so far. Let me just say this first. Yes, I've tried it. I only played about 10 minutes. I'm really happy with the improvements. Every 3 houses I ran into enemies to fight. That was not the case last year or May. So very good. I have a little bit to say about that, but I'll save it for later. But thank you. I am also pleased with what they've done. I'm glad that we'll get into that in a bit. Ryan Hodgins, thank you so much for the £5. He gives out Starfield's premium edition code for anyone who hasn't played it yet. He's got the code there. He says, but Mag has to shout, I see what you said in the chat, so you got to do it. Ryan Hodgson.
He needs to say something rude to me, and then I will be 100% on board, and I'll catch it.
That is the rule.
That's the rule, and don't worry. I'll say. By the way, Justy Spud, we did talk about Fable. We both kind of think it's going to be 2025.
Yeah.
So
we do.
I think it's good. We both think it's going to skip 2024. Hence, why it didn't really make our, upcoming game list as of right now, because it's kind of not on my radar as of yet.
I fully expect us to see a small, very brief walkthrough at E3 in June, and then they say 2025, and that's just kind of how it is. Shout out to over 850 plus people who are watching the show. Hit the like button if you're here. If you're in the chat, move the chat out of the way. That thing is so, it's just so intrusive, that chat standing in the way. But take a second, hit the like button. It makes a big difference, and it boosts the morale of everybody involved. But we really appreciate it. Hitting the like button is super important so that I can know are Mag and I doing a decent job trying to get you the news and keep you entertained, because we're here, Mag. We're here doing the show because at work, nobody wants to listen to us talk about games, so we come here, right?
No, it's the funny thing is, in my situation at work, I speak my mind and I speak pretty much non-corporate, which actually makes everybody like cringe, because I'll come in the office and I'll be like, and I just start swearing, right? Because hey, my history's in the kitchen, right? And so it's funny to see me a fish out of water, but I don't talk about gaming because the only people I talk about gaming with are like the 16-year-old kids that work in the summertime, right? And they're all back in school now, so I have nobody to talk to gaming about now. So like they come by my office and be like, dude, did you play what's it called? And I'm like, yeah, man, it's awesome. Did you try this and that? It's like, dude, if you do this, that, and the other thing, you cut his head off and then just throw it down the stairs. And he's like, oh, dude, I'm gonna try that tonight. And he's like, oh, I love your show, man. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. So like,
that's cool.
So we got to do it now, because now school's in, all the kids are in school. Isn't that funny that like I can't talk to other adults in my workplace about gaming? Not because it's like there's anything wrong with it. It's because none of them are into it.
It's just kind of how it is. Like people, people our age, there are lots of gamers, but you're more likely to run into somebody like 10 years younger than us that's at gaming and younger than that. If you're watching the show and not just listening, I slightly tweaked the overlay for times when we're showing gameplay, and I've got a montage of Forza Motorsport game clips that I've recorded over the past 2 weeks. And I even threw in the middle some Crew Motorfest, more footage that you guys haven't seen, because they just announced that they put another price drop on it and another free trial for people to play. And if you like Forza Horizon, you definitely should give Ubisoft's Crew Motorfest a fair shake and see if you like it, and see if that price is right for you. But we'll talk about Forza Motorsport in a minute, but this is some footage to kind of give you something to look at while we're talking. But I increased the size of us. If you look at YouTube, Mag, we're a little bit bigger now, so you don't need to see the whole entire screen of gameplay. But I'm just trying to get like that happy medium of seeing our ugly faces and giving you guys something else fun to watch, just besides us doing things with our hands, right? So,
yep.
All right, let's talk about... What?
It's already starting. It's already starting in the chat, eh? Boba Fett Gaming. I'm going to spatchcock some people in Forza Online after work. That's it.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the game is just now releasing, and I had it for a week, and I didn't realize early access was... I haven't even looked. I think early access was like an entire week. Normally it's 3 days or maybe 5 days. Maybe it's been that, but it just feels like, hasn't everybody had this on Game Pass? But... yeah, let me... Oh, I'm going to... Donnie, knock it off.
I've just found... Okay. Oh, see what happens? It rubs off on Colt. Now he's yelling at people in the chat.
I see what you said.
I got the new...
Wait, did Ryan Hodges say something so you could yell at him?
I have been staring at this chat, waiting for someone to say something rude, but it's all been nice. Even this guy... I like this guy. Bobby Dazzle. What a great name. He says, I effing love Mag. The energy, enthusiasm. I love it. Dude, we love you too, man. Thank you for coming into the show. And... yeah, I saw some rude things in there, but it wasn't specifically about me.
I know every day I'm like, man, do I really want Mag on my show? He's kind of a jerk. And then I'm like, nah, I'll keep him around for a little while.
Just for a little while longer, yeah.
All right, let's talk about, really quickly, Halo Infinite had a new trailer today, and I think it's kind of funny because there's like this whole camp says Halo's dead, but then I always hear these numbers that Halo's doing pretty decent for a game that's 3 years old, and the new content, every time they put out a new season, everyone's like, well, bravo. And I don't follow the game. I don't really play it anymore, but I'll tell you what, from where I'm standing, like over here sitting, not playing Halo, I think the majority of the narrative, Mag, is that people are really happy with where Halo Infinite is right now for the multiplayer. Have you heard about the highlight of the new modes? Yeah,
I saw some people talking about it, and actually, funny enough, I did see some people in the community saying, they're gonna download it again, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go re-download it, this and that, whatever. And I'm like, that's great to see, and it's I like to see people get back into it. It'd be wild if it actually moved the needle. So let's just see what happens. Let's see if it actually moves the needle a bit and people get back into it. Sorry, excuse me, I hiccuped.
Yeah. I think move the needle
know what I
is.
mean?
I don't expect move the needle. I just expect the game to just keep a steady flow of great players, and it's come a long way. But what they added to it was, for the highlights, was 2 new arena maps, an extraction mode, which is really popular on Halo 4, and then Firefight is coming at the end of this season, which might be in a couple months, but they haven't said what kind of firefight. I don't know if it's a classic firefight where you just have waves of enemies, or if it's going to be also firefight plus firefight, Warzone firefight, which if you played in Halo 5 at all, Mag, it drops 5 of your teammates in, 5 people on the other side, and you meet in the middle, and the map is loaded with AI enemies that everyone can kill, but you're also trying to kill the other 5 enemies that are real people. And it's in a big map, so it's really cool. And you respawn, you get in there.
Titanfall.
Yeah, it's kind of like Titanfall. Yeah,
idea, like they had. Remember that they had like the AI bots running around, and
so what you do is you drop in, and there's let's just say it's Covenant. There's Covenant enemies. It's grunts first, and then the elites come in, and then brutes, and then later on is you do 5 waves. I mean, I don't need to explain this if everybody knows what I'm talking about for Warzone firefight, but by the end, there's enemy tanks. Your team has earned enough kills to get their own tanks, and there's kind of big mini bosses at the end of each wave, and it's just very, very cool. I hope that's coming. Bionic Will said that's regular Warzone. Warzone firefight doesn't have real people in it. It's just your team buying for points, I think. That's right. That's what it is. But anyway, you have Warzone and then Warzone Firefight. Warzone Firefight has more AI, but that's really my redeeming quality for Halo 5. It's the only thing I play. So that's Starfield. Or we're going to talk about Starfield, but that's Halo. No one is talking about Starfield. That's the narrative, Meg, and that's what we're going to talk about for a moment here. Clobril announced that Starfield, even to this day, is number 3 most played over Call of Duty and Fortnite. So is Starfield dead, or what is the narrative going there?
No, I think just people are quietly playing it and just having fun and enjoying it. I mean, there comes a point, like even when you're on social media and stuff, and even myself, and other people out there, there's only so much you're gonna spam of the same thing over and over. Like, after you do it like 3-4 days, people are gonna be like, all right, dude, talk about something else. You know what I mean? So like, it's okay to do, like, I'll put out like, screenshots of what I'm playing, or if I get a completion, I'll screenshot and be like, hey, I just, completed this. I just do this, on to the next adventure. And I think that after people are done talking, it's moved out of the narrative, but people are obviously still playing. So that's the key to it all. They don't care if people are talking about it, but if people are engaged in playing, that's what's most important at the end of the day. Although there's a flip side to that. You could say that, people talking about it will increase engagement, because then other new people who haven't tried it saying, what are all these people talking about? But it doesn't matter what game it is. They generally, the narrative or the talk about it generally dies off pretty quickly until you get closer to the Game Awards, right? Like, for example, Baldur's Gate 3, which I still think is going to win Game of the Year. I haven't played it. I'm just saying, I think my gut feeling says it's going to win Game of the Year.
Yeah, but Baldur's Gate's been out. How long is Baldur's Gate? Baldur's Gate's been out for a while, and I feel like everybody was talking about Baldur's Gate for a month. And then there might have been some extra talk about Baldur's Gate when it came to PlayStation 5. But I just think a really great game has everyone's talking about it motion for like 3 weeks to a month. Now I'm going to ask you this.
That's it.
How long did everyone talk about Tears of the Kingdom? Just take a guess. I mean, in your opinion. I'm going to poll the audience as well.
It came in what, June or May? Was it May or June? Somewhere around there. It was right at the beginning of the summer.
May, I think. Well, we'll say May, but whatever.
May?
Yeah.
It didn't really last it didn't last that long in the public eye. Like, everybody just kind of moved on. However, we are in a society now that, news moves so quickly, whether it's in the real world, whether it's in the gaming world, the movie world, the music business. After a week or so, after a couple of weeks, no one's talking about anything anymore, because they move on to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then it's like this constant. And of course, the corporations have done this. They've done this on purpose, because they want us to consume like locusts so that they keep shoveling stuff into our face and we just keep eating it, right? So that's what they want. And it's just constant consumption and consumption and consumption and consumption. And a lot of it is not even worth keeping. And that's why they do it. And I told my wife this. I said, honey, we live in a disposable world. It's not like the old days where you bought a car. That was a life decision in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Now, after a couple of years, people throw their cars in the blue bin and put it in the recycling because it's a pile of crap now. You know what I mean? It's not even worth fixing after 5 years. Like, just get it, dump it, get a new one. And basically, and I told her, I said, you know what? I guarantee in the next decade, cars are going to be the same as cell phones. It's going to be a plan. You pay your monthly plan, and that's it. You just move on from there. Or you have the choice to buy it. But
I mean, the leases aren't a big rip-off. Like, leases for cars aren't a big rip-off like they used to be. So people would get a new lease on a car every 4 years, and you don't really lose your money. But, I mean, I would also like them to do that with consoles. I wouldn't mind that.
That's what I'm saying. It's all heading in that direction, and that's the reason why people, and that's my personal feeling, that's why I don't think people talk about, in this particular instance, games for very long, because they moved on to the next thing. And look at this month, for example. We were talking about all the stuff that we're going to be playing in the next month or so before we get into Assassin's Creed Mirage in the beginning of November before Call of Duty. And in the midst of that conversation, we skipped out on 3 massive AAA games that we completely forgot about. We're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Alan Wake is coming out. Oh, my God, that's right. Lords of the... Oh, my God, Spider-Man's coming out.
And isn't Star Wars Outlaw coming in early next year, or is it like spring?
No, it's not early. I think it's going to be later in the year. I think it's going to be either late spring or early fall. I don't think it's going to come out in the first half of the year.
Okay. If you're watching, by the way, you're looking at the Crew Motorfest, which is just a charming, great, cool game. I talked about it earlier, but it is pretty fun to watch the footage. Well, I'm kind of watching the chat and the footage while Mag and I are talking. There are a ton of games, and I got to explain with Starfield, like the comparisons were made when Skyrim came out in 2011, like everyone talked about it for 10 years. And I'm like, no, they didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay.
No, we didn't. And I'll tell you what, I remember that when Skyrim came out, I was won over by the game. I wasn't waiting my whole life for it. I was like, I don't know. And then I played it. I'm like, this is amazing. I put in 180 hours on that. And I think most of that I did in 1 month. So we were all talking about Skyrim throughout all of November. And then I think Dead Island came out and a bunch of other games, but we all moved on. And we never said Skyrim sucks now that it's done. We always look back fondly on Skyrim, but everyone has this rose-tinted glasses, this kaleidoscope where they're like, we've been talking about Skyrim forever. I'm like, yes, Skyrim always comes up. It's been a great game. But Starfield's just getting started, just like Skyrim was. We all did that big playthrough. We did just about everything and then rolled credits. Or am I thinking of it wrong? And that's, in fact, I'm going to ask the chat that instead of this. Go ahead, Meg. What are your thoughts, and what do you remember back then? Where were you 2011?
2011, I don't remember. I don't even remember what happened last week. Crypto Ken, let me tell you something. That car reference was a bad take. That was a great take, and I'll tell you why. I said that's an example of what's going to happen in the future. And by the way, crypto's dead. Change your name, dude. That's the bad take. Foxy Jedi, listen. I can't talk any quieter, okay? Either can Colt. This is how we talk. If you want ASMR, here we go. Ready? This is an Xbox podcast.
Welcome. We want to welcome everybody. We just really want to thank...
Welcome to the Xbox ASMR podcast for sleep.
Thank you, Mag. I really appreciate you, everything you've done. Coming directly from Canada, we have our co-host, Middle-Aged Game Guy, and I'm Colteastwood. Today we're going to talk about the hot news. You can hear the excitement in our voice as we talk about the hottest news in gaming. You can feel the anticipation. Mag, can you give us a little woo?
Zero cool. I know what a lease is. But what I'm talking about is that they're going to change everything to a subscription model in the next decade. Pay attention. Okay, anyways, back to the show. What were we talking about?
Why did you yell?
Talking about Skyrim in 20. What? No, because he was talking smack. He was talking nonsense. What are y'all smoking? I'll tell you what. No, I won't even tell you what I'm smoking. Anyways, here's the thing. At the end. By the way, that's the first time I've said it the whole show. All right. So
okay.
So
Foxy Jedi goes,
thing
thanks
is, these
guys,
games-
laugh out loud. Yeah. How long did you play and talk about Skyrim? I put in the chat for the poll that you could vote and click on. It's totally anonymous. No one will know what you said, but I said, was it 1 month or was it 10 years? And I know we're gonna get some funny votes based on that.
It was.
I did play
10 years.
I did play it in 2011. I picked it back up in 2015 on PC, played it for a while. I think I messed around with it when it came to Xbox One, that version slightly, and then picked it. You know, it's like they just keep releasing it, so you play it on your fridge.
Well, yeah, the thing is, what they could do, the potential is with something like Starfield, as better tech comes out in the future and everything else, and they're able to improve, let's say, the frame rate or this, and they can up-res that, they could do this, what, right? And then they could do things like that. They can add DLC, and then all of a sudden, you might have a resurgence in a few years, right? Where look at Cyberpunk right now. Cyberpunk right now is having a massive resurgence. You've got big ticket names on there like Idris Elba, and you still got Keanu Reeves in there. Which I was surprised, actually. I didn't realize that Keanu Reeves was in the DLC as well.
I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting it either. So you have two of these actors in the thing. The great story, interesting. Little slow at the beginning, but doesn't matter. The point is there was a resurgence in the game, and what's happening? People are not, as you are an example, Colt. People are not just going back and playing the DLC. You're going back and playing the whole game.
A lot of people
you're
are
engaging, right? So.
Magnum Westward says, who the heck cares what ponies tweet? Let's move on. This has actually been several industry games media articles. It's been there's been several of them that have been writing about this. Like they've been pushing this. I don't want to say the word narrative, but they've been pushing this ideal. Well, they're pushing this narrative that Starfield is dead. No one's talking about it, and I hear it. I even see prominent figures saying, no one's talking about Starfield. I'm like, you're literally talking about it. Everyone's talking about Starfield every day. Are you seeing viral videos of people building a gigantic schlong out of ship parts as much? No, not as much, but forgive me for that. No, don't forgive me. I said it on purpose. But the zeitgeist, right? Is Starfield still in the zeitgeist? I think you said it really well, Mag, that right now at this point, people are quietly completing their playthrough and really enjoying the game. And I don't know. I see where they're coming from on both sides, I guess.
But the thing is, unless you ask me, Colt, all right, on a weekly basis, I'm not talking about what I'm playing. I mean, I might post something on Twitter or whatever, or on another show if I've done a completion and I said, okay, I've accomplished something. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm not sitting there talking about it, and I'm not talking about it. I'm just playing it. And I'm living my normal life. I go to work, I take care of my kids, I take care of the house, I do what I gotta do. I'm still working on renovations, I'm playing games, right? I'm not sitting there going, hey, cool, Starfield and Starfield? Oh, Starfield and Starfield. Starfield and Starfield? Oh, Starfield and Starfield. Like, we're not doing that. You just be like a normal, if people aren't talking about it, like I said, when Spider-Man comes out, everybody's gonna be talking about that. Well, everybody who's playing it is gonna be talking about it for a couple of weeks, and they're gonna move on from there. And if Alan Wake sticks the landing, God willing, because I'd like the first one a lot, same deal, a couple of weeks. But by November, no one's talking about it because they're going to be, what else is there?
Well,
what have you done for me lately?
For most people, Starfield is a 40-hour experience if they're not, really trying to do everything. And of course, that game is meant to live on for a long time, but that doesn't mean you're going to play it all the time. Like a game like Forza Horizon, I would play at least once a week because they'd have a couple new races and some new challenge. But that's not what Starfield is. And when Forza Motorsport comes out, a lot of people are talking about that. That's the big narrative this past week or so, or 2 weeks, is Forza Motorsport. So Starfield took a back seat. But this whole narrative about nobody's talking about Starfield is kind of meant to be a little bit inflammatory. And I guess that can be irritating. Oh my gosh, come back to Forza Motorsport on the gameplay on the screen right now. It's like, whoo, look how shiny that looks compared to Crew Motorfest. But yeah.
Did we not just talk about this half an hour ago?
I don't remember. I have ADD and a bad memory.
Inflammatory titles of articles and news and media pundits and whatever else. It's exactly what we just talked about. And
when you say no one's talking, you're trying to.
You're inciting people's emotions by doing that, right? And so you're upsetting people. You're trying to get them all worked up. And then that's when people go, what do you mean they're not talking about Starfield? And then they get on there and they start typing like mad saying, no, I'm still playing. I'm 7,000 hours in.
And you're exciting the guys who are like, haha, I told you Starfield was going to die.
And then you've got the other, right, and it's a win-win. And then you've got the other side saying exactly that. See, I told you it's a star flop and this and that and blah, 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 blah. You know, all the names that they give it, midfield and all this. And, you know, the thing is, guys, that's the other thing. Please, let me tell you something. I'm telling you this from me to you. When you see these inflammatory things, don't get involved. I know some people tag me and stuff, and I'm like, guys, don't do that. And you know why? I'm not saying don't tag me in anything. I'm just saying don't tag me in that kind of stuff. What happens is I just back out of it because I know what that article is trying to do, and I will not engage on purpose because I will not give them my time of day. They are not getting my click, and they're not going to make my 8 cents that they're going to get off my click. They're not getting it, right? And I will not give it to them. Yeah, or whatever the hell it is. Yeah. So you know what I mean? And I'm not going to do it. And so therefore I don't engage in that kind of stuff. I personally didn't like Starfield as much as I thought I was going to. I didn't say it's bad. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing I ever played, but I played it, but I keep my feelings, unless we're talking about it, I keep them to myself. I just, it is what it is. I played it. I finished it.
There's things I don't like about Starfield, and we've talked about.
And that's fine.
Both of those things.
But you put in hundreds of hours, and I've done my time in the game, and that's great. And we move on from there. And then, like, I thought, like, you know, I still riding high on the, for this year, for 2023, Hogwarts Legacy and Resident Evil 4 Remake were still my 2 favorite games I played this year.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, Hogwarts is great.
Right?
I mean,
yes,
it's funny, we all complain when there's been just an uproar of amazing games. Cordwainer, you stop it. Let me get
always up to something.
Grandpa Barbecuer Game Cat gifted a channel membership to Bionic Wolf. Welcome to the channel membership. I got to make a video this week so you can get it early and say first in the comment section. Well, my teeth first. Nice. Pharaoh 25 OG Gaming. Thank you so much for the $5 super. Says I like Mag. Man, he's like an OG gaming agnostic.
Agnostic or antagonist? I'm both.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the word antagonist. Yeah, you're an OG gaming antagonist.
That's just bad out of Hades already. It's okay, Mac. We forgive you for your bad taste. See, I like that stuff because it's funny, right? Because it's all just, you know, ribbing each other in the community. That's good. And that's a good time, and everybody has fun. It's when people get roiled up.
It should be coming back. Hang on. If you're not going to like that article, you're going to go out there and make a comment. Just try and make the comment more constructive. Like, don't, it's like when someone goes, I can't stand the way Colt's voice sounds. Like, that's not very constructive. Tell me to stop talking through my nose. KY Bob, who's been a channel member longer than anyone in my entire channel membership setup, great friend, says, did someone say Sierra, bring back fear? Also, the Redfall update to 60 FPS was more, with a more populated world is so nice. Colt and Mag equals X and C greatness. We appreciate you, KY Bob. Pat F also... What's that? Go ahead. No,
I was going to say, Steven Sanford, I am so happy. He's like, oh my God, let Colt talk. Whose show is it? Oh, dude, are you absolutely out of your mind? I love. He's high. What's he saying? He high. Okay, well, his grammar.
I haven't had my mic on the whole night. It's part of the problem.
And caffeine voice grinding through me. I don't drink caffeine and I don't drink coffee. This is all natural. This is all natural, just to destroy your soul. Hey, carry on, Cole.
Yeah, not everybody's going to love me. Not everybody's going to love Mag. But to those who do, hit the like button and show your support for the show. We got a lot of news to talk about. I want to get these through. Pat F. gifted a channel membership to Tim per 21. So thank you so much. I love the gifted channel memberships. Makes you feel really good. That's really cool. You guys are all helping each other out. Bit for Naldi with a 5 says, good evening, fellow cultists. Finally doing story missions in Starfield. I'm 150 hours in. The game is captivating. I can't put it down. Yes, Biff, I felt the same. Andy Hart with a £5 says, thank you, Andy. He says, the hate on Xbox has reached toxic levels I have never seen before. 35 plus years of gaming. To be honest, at first, it was amusing. Now, he says, it's saddening. Yeah, just don't take it personal. I take it personal all the time. Just do your best to, like Mag said, you see where it's just trying to, it's like moth to the flame. Resist that.
Trying to get you. Steven Stanford, by the way, you know we're all just kidding. It's part of the shtick, okay? So I don't actually want to, burn through your soul. So,
but Mag will. He doesn't want to, but he will.
I don't want to. I mean, if I have to be Shang Tsung, I got to be Shang Tsung. I got to do it. Your soul is mine. Anyway, no, he just responded. He goes, "I'm just joking." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's part of the shtick. That's part of the yelling and the fun. It's all part of the show. Unless you want to get serious, then we'll get nuts. You want to get nuts? Then let's get nuts, huh? What movie was that? Come on, let's see in the chat. Someone named that movie. Came out in 1989.
You want to get nuts. Boner Jams, a good friend of ours, the $5. Thank you, Boner Jams. He said, where can I obtain a God Bless Mag t-shirt? Happy Monday, Colt Winwood. Have a great week. That gives me an idea. I should do a t-shirt of Mag yelling and pointing and saying, I see what you said there. Like, I think that would be a great shirt. I'll walk around, go to the grocery store, and somebody will be like, what the heck is that shirt? I'm like, oh, if you don't know, you don't know. Hey, look at this. I even threw some footage on, I might be behind in the live stream, but I threw some footage for a second there of me actually driving with the racing wheel. What's that?
Are those your hands? Is that you with the wheel?
I forgot. I forgot to scale up that one in the program when I was putting this video together. Darn it!
Great. Yeah, that's great. No, I'm good. By the way, the winner and Noof Nukem was the winner there. He got it first. It was Batman, the Tim Burton 1989 Batman, and right before was Biff Rinaldi with it. And the third place was none other than Joe Dunmore's in the chat tonight. That's an old friend of ours from the Gaming After Dark days. So glad to see you here, Joe. Anyways, carry on. I love this.
One last thing.
That was great.
We'll move from Starfield, but they also added an FOV slider a month after the game came out. I'm like, dang, that would have been nice. If that, oh crap, I didn't cut this. Watch me get up and I'm in my underwear.
I love that.
An FOV slider is cool. I wish I had that when I played the game. Now it's too late. I'd have to go back and mess around with it. Let's talk about Redfall briefly. I don't know what else I need to say other than I'll just say that I wanted Arcane to just say, you know what, we're done. We're going to do the 60 FPS patch, put out the 2 new characters, and then we're out. But it sounds like they're going to continue to try to make the game better. I'll be curious to see, Mag, in the 3-year mark, if this game turns out to, man, that looks like real life. If this game turns out the gameplay, if that ends up being a really good game, because I gave the game after I finished it, I gave it a 6.5 because it just left out so many things that it should have had. But have you messed with Redfall? Or are you going to even install it to see if the patch feels good? Because it does feel good.
You know, this is nerd world problems. And sorry, that's a term I heard just a few days ago. I thought it was so great. Nerd world problems.
Love it. That's good. I like it.
Isn't that a great term? Nerd world problems, guys. We have so many games to play, and there's no bloody time to do it. And I mean, even if there is time, the stack of games just keeps growing and growing. And I'm like, when they go back, like I read these articles, I see the thing, I see people, the community talk about it, and like the Redfall situation, and I'm like, why are they doing this now when I have no time? I'm like, I don't have time to go back to this game
Halo
now.
did the same thing. The big update for co-op came in the holiday when everything else is out.
It was too late. But you know what? God bless him. You know what? God bless him for going back and having the balls to say, you know what? We're going to go back and do this. Remember the No Man's Sky fiasco 5 years ago, 6 years ago, however many years ago it was, and went back and just said, you know what? This is our definitive edition. And then they succeeded. And you know what I mean? You never know. Yeah. Maybe Redfall will be that game, but I'm just no time right now. There's no time.
Yeah.
But the beauty is we have the ability to play it anytime we want as long as we're in Game Pass. They're never going to remove it because they own it now. There's no fear.
Remember I told you guys for like 3 years I could not stand Fallout 76, and then it finally got all this culmination of updates, and I love the game in 2023. So maybe I'll get that, because I will. Everybody knows, because people are saying in the chat, it feels really good right now. It's a great improvement, and I totally agree. And there are lots of things about the feel of the game that are really great. The things that capture my attention in that preview. So I'm just gonna wait. And hopefully they make it great. Tim Brewster in the chat says, it sounds like Roundhouse Studios is doing the updates for Redfall instead of Arcane Austin, because we heard they're busy on Roundhouse Studios is one of the smaller studios that belongs to Bethesda and ZeniMax. And I don't remember what they've made offhand, but it sounds like they've commissioned them to work on the updates for Redfall, and then that means that the full team of Arcane Austin is working on Dishonored 3. I put out a video a week ago where I said that it seemed like there's a clue that they're making Prey, but no, it sounds like they're all on Dishonored 3, so no Prey game. Sorry about that. I'll tell you what, I get these things wrong all the time. They only call me out when it has to do with Redfall or Crackdown.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
You know, Listen, you follow the. Thank you, Colt, for that. That was wonderful. You follow where people want to be, and I mean, by no means is Prey a bad game at all. And actually, it's a great game. It's just that if more people are interested in Dishonored 3, you got to go where you got to go where the fans want you to go. Generally speaking, right? And by the way, speaking of which, hey, Zampella, I know you're out there.
Thought you were about to yell at the chat again.
No, not the chat. No, the chat's fine.
Yeah.
Can you make Bad Company 3? We only been asking for 11 years, scumbag. Listen, I'm Italian, you're Italian. Let's get this thing. I know a guy, you know a guy. Can you please do Bad Company 3? Speaking of listening to the fans, thank you very much. Take your Battlefield 2040, whatever the hell it is, and throw it in the trash and give us Bad Company 3.
I don't care if they just make kind of a bare bones, a couple of meat and potatoes multiplayer modes to go alongside a Battlefield 3 or Bad Company 3 campaign. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, I know it's kind of in these days for a long time you have to have like a multiplayer mode, but if you get this great Bad Company 3 campaign and then you get a little bit of meat and potatoes multiplayer with your friends, I would love to see that. I don't know if they'll do both, but.
Can I have that instead of the sequence that I had to be when I was playing Battlefield and I was cross-country skiing with a knife and a handgun? Mm-hmm. Are you out of your mind? This is what you're doing instead of Bad Company 3? Jesus. Sorry, I just. Oh, by the way, Colt. Derek Budd in the chat said Colt Roundhouse made Blair Witch.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to read. The team that made The Medium made the recent Blair Witch. Oh my gosh, help me, chat. Who was the team that made The Medium and they made the recent Blair Witch game? Because I'm wondering if he's mixing up those studio names. Who made The Medium? Darn it. It wasn't Roundhouse.
Oh,
it was. It's right there. It's right. It's like it's like 3/4 of a word. Like it's like a word. Bloober. Instead of, I always want to say blooper. Yes, that's what I was thinking. See, in my mind, I'm like cranking that out. Bloober Studios studio, right? Is the one that did the recent Blair Witch, and they did The Medium in 2020. Look, everybody's. Oh, you guys are so awesome in the chat. Like, they're on it. I don't know.
That's why I love them.
I could look up Roundhouse Studios work, but I don't remember. Like, back when I did the Bethesda ZeniMax videos, I looked into that. You know what? I don't know, and I would just be wasting your time while we should be keeping things hopping. Let's talk about Forza Motorsport briefly, since I have the gameplay up. The campaign is not fully breathed enough. There's not enough breadth of the scope. They needed to do more. Basically, what the campaign the campaign does boil down to this. They give you a discipline of cars. You pick one, and you start it with stock, and you put moderate upgrades between the 5 races, and then you're done with that class and you move on to a different class of cars, and it just rinses and repeats that. Now, it's great gameplay, and if you're watching this and you kind of like car stuff and you kind of like racing games, it probably feels good to watch this because the game does feel really great. The game also, I'm just going to do this in one bang so Mag doesn't fall asleep, but the game also 80% of the time looks really, really good. There's some lighting conditions where it looks kind of and Turn 10 decided to kind of dial back the gamma, which they shouldn't have. They should be punching the contrast and increasing color saturation, and they don't. So there's also some flourishes that are missing. Like, why not some leaves that blow across the road, or some waving banners that just kind of bring the side of the road to life, which you don't get in Forza Motorsport for the most part. But some of the side stuff can look really nice. Now, the whole entire narrative right now, Mag, like we started the show out saying, is that most people agree right now that Forza Motorsport looks really, really good. And before, they thought it looked like garbage. Now, I got to carefully set this up for you, Mag, because I know you followed it. Right when the game hit embargo, everyone was putting up reviews, and IGN with Destin Nagari, a great guy that I respect 100%, and that's why we'll give him his due for this. He made a mistake. He put a video out immediately comparing Gran Turismo 7 to Forza Motorsport 7. A lot of you already know this, so I'm going to try and hurry and get right to the point. It was a side-by-side, midday race, same kind of car. Gran Turismo 7 looked a lot better. Turns out there's a gamma bug, a contrast bug, that when you change settings in the Xbox, it jacks it up and it messes it up. And so he put up this video and he yanked it, but not before everybody was really rude to him, including Xbox fans. Oh my gosh, Meg, did I cover that well enough? Did you follow this big IGN thing? And shout out to Destin for being so transparent about it.
Yeah, I did, and I had a few questions for you because, ironically, I was listening, not watching, because I was in the middle of building cabinets for my living room as part of the renovation. But I was playing it in the background, and it was a comparison of Gran Turismo, my goodness, Forza Motorsport 7 and Forza Motorsport 8. Now, you mentioned something about like the leaves and stuff like that, and like even the tires smoking, like if you're spinning the tires, that kind of stuff was happening. Now, what this person was talking about was saying that was happening in Forza Motorsport 7, but it's not in Forza Motorsport. I guess we'll call it 8, just for argument's sake.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
And saying that like little details like that were missing from the game. Is that true? Now, like I said, I couldn't see it because I was building cabinets, but I was listening in the background. So I was like, oh, but I never had a chance to walk over and take a look at the screen. Is that a thing? Like, do you find like little we won't call it quality of life. We'll call it like little details like that missing from the game. Is that true or false?
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot to it that we have to dig into because other than me sitting here giving you a mini review of Forza Motorsport, which I will not because you're all going to be playing it either now in New Zealand or tomorrow sometime. Honestly, I don't even know when because I've been playing it for so long. But Digital Foundry is in the middle of working on a comparison video that will be fully featured and really in depth of comparing Gran Turismo 7 to Forza Motorsport 8. And Gran Turismo 7 is a cross-generation game. Now, there's some things that Gran Turismo 7 does a lot better visually and performance-wise than Forza does. Like there's a 120 hertz mode or 120 FPS mode in Gran Turismo. You don't get that on the Xbox Forza game because they give you a 60 FPS dynamic 4K ray tracing, or they give you a full 4K 60 with no ray tracing. Both look really, really great. So I think it's going to be, I already know where Digital Foundry is leaning on that. Before I jump into that, you're talking about you were setting up Destin's video, the comparison of Gran Turismo to Forza, correct?
Yeah, well, that was one of two. There were a few I was watching.
Yeah, so and I would say that there are a lot of times when Forza Motorsport 7 looks more flourished and more nicely presented than even this new one. But let's talk about Destin's video side by side. The gamma, there's a issue with the gamma, so it's kind of washed out. A lot of gray midtones, which would need to be adjusted. And there's some people in the chat like don't give any quarter to IGN or Destin, but the morning of the embargo dropped on midnight my time the night before. I woke up at 6 a.m. Destin Legary had DM'd me, and we talk quite often. And if anybody thinks that Destin has any type of I'm going to use the console war because I hate Xbox, you definitely do not pay attention to Destin. He has none of that. None of that. So he DMs me because I put up a montage the night before on Twitter of like 7 clips, and they all look pretty good. And he's like, Colt, did you doctor your footage? And I was like, no, why? And he goes, oh, I was just wondering because your footage looks a lot better than mine. I'm like, well, I didn't use some of the clips during midday because they look kind of lame, to be honest. But the night, the evening, the sunrise, the rain stuff looks really awesome. And I didn't know what he was getting at. And then that morning, I started to see the tweets, and it was a big deal. And then Digital Foundry or somebody else said there's a gamma bug. And that's kind of where it was, if you follow that properly, Mag.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Now, my question is, where is it sitting on Metacritic right now? I mean, it was like an 80.
It's an 85. It's an 85.
Is it 85? Okay. Yeah. All right. And as for that video, like I said, I had things just playing in the background, and there was one by him. There was another. There were a couple of other ones, and it was all like
I watched like 8 seconds because of the way you and I watch stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I've seen it.
I was just listening in the background, and like I said, and so I had my phone sitting in the background while I was installing cabinets, and so everyone, like I'm holding this cabinet with one hand, and I'm drilling in like the brackets And I'm like holding this thing, and I'm going, oh. And they're talking about how it looks washed out and this and that. And there's like things, and I'm like, God damn, I want to go see it, but I couldn't see it. But,
and you drilled through your thumb.
Either way, that's not a cop out, folks. I'm being dead serious. I didn't actually watch those videos as of that, but I did hear everything. So
that's why I'm
fine.
Asking. You don't. Yeah, I mean
that's why
fine.
I'm asking Colt, because Colt was more intimately involved in it, and and I haven't even played the game yet, so I'd like to see for myself, right? So it's the kind of thing where at the end of the day, I will casually listen to whether it's videos. I watch video all day long when I'm not working, and YouTube is just nonstop on my phone. And so anyways, the point is I listen to these things, I watch these things, but I also don't see them too closely because I also want to experience it, like we said at the beginning of the show.
For yourself.
Myself. I'd rather go in there myself, but I do skim over these things and I say, all right, 85. All right, so let me check it out. If the game was a 60 on Metacritic, I'd be like, all right, I'll check it out, but I won't be too enthusiastic about it. You know what I'm saying? This clearly is not the case. So an 85 is a great score, whatever, it's fine. And any other bugs or any other issues or any other washed out colors or anything like that, they're going to fix over time. The key to
I think they need to fix that right away, but that score doesn't hinge on the things that you were just mentioning, right? Like, I think the score hinges on if they just had a few different types of races. Like, I won't get into it, but there's some kind of like not real high effort variety type race things that they did in the previous titles, and you just don't see that, so you feel like this is it. Like, I like all these cars and stuff, but as far as the visuals, like with the bug, Destin was very vocal on Twitter that morning and getting harassed by Xbox people, and some of them I responded nicely, like, please don't, because I understood what was going on with Destin, that he made a mistake and he's got this video up and it's blowing up. And he just started saying, look, I'm just finding out right now that there's a bug that in the menu where it just locks that way and you have to restart the game to fix it. And he was like, triple check my stuff, but I didn't know this existed. I just recorded it like it is, and this is how it is, blah, blah, blah. He also started to write, he did a whole thing, says, I'm yanking the video, I'm redoing the video, and the video probably is doing great and getting a lot of feedback, but shout out to him. He yanks the video. He puts up a very apologetic and very upfront, transparent messaging tweet, and very respectful, and says, I want to do this right by the fans. And then what follows before we talk about Digital Foundry is Nico on Twitter, I think his name's Nico Mueller on Twitter, started putting up some no HUD gameplay that has blown people away for the people. So a week ago, Mag, people were like, Forza looks like trash. It doesn't look next gen. And all of a sudden, you get the right footage on there without the gamma bug. And you see my footage, which got some okay views on Twitter, but Nico Mueller got almost 2 million views in this past few days on this hood view of a Mercedes S-Class in the rain, late day overcast, water pouring off the road, reflective surfaces through the cube maps, the screen space reflections. And he says, this is real life, or this is photorealism. That tweet is massively huge. And people are like, oh my gosh, we were all wrong. Forza Motorsport looks really great. But Gran Turismo 7 also looks really great, and Polyphony has always pushed the boundaries of what a racer can look and feel like. I still think Forza feels way, way, way better. But let's talk about Digital Foundry. Meg, before I say anymore, because I could talk for a year, they're about to compare the two games. What's going to happen?
The one thing about Gran Turismo is that they have the luxury of time on their. And what I mean by that is that the game has been out for, a year and a half now? So that being the case, has it been? It didn't.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think about a year and a half. Good enough, yes.
Okay. I think it came out like somewhere between February and April of 2022. So they've had a year and a half to fix bugs, to add this, to fix that, to add this, smooth this over, add more tracks, add more cars, whatever. Quality of life improvements, even the controls, all that kind of stuff. DualSense 5 capability and everything else, and haptics and blah, 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 blah. They have time to tweak all those things over time, right? So now when you're comparing a game that's been out for, and this is not an excuse, I'm just saying, this is what's going to happen. When you have a game that's been out for a year and a half that they've been able to tinker and perfect, and then you've got a game that literally just came out like yesterday, right?
Oh, for sure. Pause that.
Yep.
Pause that, because I think around the 6 month or the year mark, they added a 120 hertz mode. I don't think that launched. Chat, help me out if you followed the Gran Turismo thing, but I think they did the VR implementation, and I think 120 hertz mode might have been a post-launch thing. I might be wrong, but go ahead.
No, that's all I'm trying to say. And so what's going to happen is you're going to get a game that's been out for a year and a half. Like I said, they've been able to tinker and to perfect it, and then you got a game that's been out for like a day, and then, and they're barely going to be able to get over day one bug humps, so to speak, right? And then be able to work that out, and then they're going to get that immediate comparison, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a thing. Now, the other thing is I did not play Gran Turismo 7 either, because I'm not much of a racing sim guy. I'm more of a Forza Horizon kind of player.
Sure.
I prefer those kind of games, or the Crew games like that. I enjoy, or Need for Speed. I enjoy those kind of games. They're great. But yeah, as for that, I just don't feel like, So anyway, we shall see. We shall see what they say.
Yeah, and I got to say, Meg, based on what you just said, and Face 23, Brooklyn, New York says, Colt, ray tracing and replays in GT7. It always had that at launch, if I remember right. The ray tracing and replays were there for Gran Turismo 7. But yeah, Face, let me know. Did they add the 120 hertz? I thought I heard people say that was something they did post-launch, which I 1,000% wish that Forza Motorsport had from Turn 10. I almost flipped those around. Yeah, I wish there was a 120 hertz mode, because I think that really makes presentation and feel really start to sparkle at 120. Like you'll know when you experience it, but yes, they have had time. What was gosh darn it, what was I gonna say? Oh, the sim, like you're saying I'm more of a Forza Horizon. I gotta say, for those of you who are like on the fence, like, oh, do I want to kind of mess with this on Game Pass? Like, I'm not really into sim racers. They seem boring and stale to me. I gotta say that with the penalty system and with you trying not to like smack into cars or not drive off into the dirt and cut your way back onto the track, or not to cut the track, some of those things have really added up to make the game feel more dynamic. Like, because you're not used to this if you don't play sim racers, but that level of I want to do this right. This is gonna be so funny. It's sort of like a Dark Souls player where the challenge is really high, and I'm gonna conquer these corners at the fastest I can to get to the front of the pack. It's what makes a sim racer go from boring to a bit more enjoyable, and then maybe you cross into I'm really getting into how these cars feel really weighty, and you can understand why someone can't just step on the gas the whole time. So maybe you will find enjoyment. I just have to say that there is some out there, and if you're watching this footage, the third person or the in steering wheel camera view is me on controller. If you just see the hood, I'm playing on the Logitech G920 with a manual H shifter. I don't know what they call that, but a manual shifter with clutch. I'm doing heel toe clutch racing, which is great. Like I've talked about, you come out of a turn kind of slow, crank it into second and step on it and hit the revs up really high to get torque and to get speed back up after making kind of a slow turn. It's really, really great. So, I asked it. Yodani calls it a gated shifter. I've just called it a manual shifter, but I think when they're talking about the ones you buy for video games, they call them an H shifter, because you also have sequential shifters, which are taller and just a stick, and you go back for up and forward for downshift. So you go like that, I think, and that's what rally racers do. But they have those for H pattern, Scooter says. Anyway, Scooter in the chat. I got to send out his controller. I think he's the one who's up in Canada, so I'll get that figured out. I messaged him. Anyway, the Digital Foundry thing, which I didn't get to. And shout out to over 800 people. Hit the like button. Get us to 500 likes. I'd really appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying the show. Mag and I are talking like crazy, but I think Digital Foundry is going to favor on the side of Gran Turismo 7. And I'll just say, I like the color saturation of Gran Turismo. I love the exaggerated shine, like the light flare on the body, which this game has, but that exaggerated look is what makes games look a little more eye-pleasing. So I don't know, Mag, have you looked at both? How do you think it's going to turn for Digital Foundry?
I think that they're going to say that Gran Turismo 7 is looking better at launch versus Forza. I'm gonna just call it Forza 8, okay? Because I'm so tired of calling it Forza Motorsport. I'm just telling you what I think they're gonna say. I'm not saying that this is fact or anything like that. You know, I'm just saying what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna point out the grant. And the thing is, once again, I think it's a little bit unfair because you're talking about a game that's been out for a year and a half. Although you could say a game that's been out for a year and a half, you could say, oh, the tech's a little bit outdated. You know,
it is a cross-generation game, but Polyphody's never made a bad-looking game. But I think that last generation they had higher detailed car models, and I don't know if they upgraded the detail of the car models in Forza Motorsport. I think they concentrated on getting the lighting correct, which they did. But I mean, if they zoom into rims and wheels and stuff, yeah.
Now, the thing is, what really flamed the fanboy wars was when Digital Foundry originally said, well, right now we don't have time to do the comparison video. What was that, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
I didn't think it was. They said they wanted to do it right. They wanted to take the time, which is good.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not. Yeah, no. What they said was good. I'm saying it fanned some people who went nuts, saying, "You see, they did it on purpose. They're saying they don't have time on purpose." I'm like, guys, can you read the whole? Oh my god! Can you read beyond the headline before you lose your mind, please? But anyways, I just thought it was kind of fun. But anyway, listen, when it happens, we're going to talk about it. We're going to watch it. I'm going to watch it a few times. I want to see what happens, and I want to see if whatever our predictions. What about what's your prediction? What do you think they're going to say?
I think I'm predicting that they're going to give the nod to Gran Turismo 7 for visuals, but they're not going to be comparing like the feel of the game or the quality of the game and its multiplayer and all that stuff. I think they'll strictly be looking at the tech, the detail, the way that materials are shown. John Linneman already said that Gran Turismo 7 does a really good job of ray tracing on matte finishes, like plasticky surfaces he said they're really expensive to have a reflection on a semi-gloss matte surface. And he said they do that really well, but that is only in replay mode. So the replay mode versus both will be kind of interesting, but this game on Forza Motorsport has the ray tracing performance mode, which is typically at 1440p with some ambient occlusion and reflective surfaces like on the car bodies. The mirrors are still simulated by giving you a window-in-window or a picture-in-picture type thing. Shout out to United Kazano, just gave out a 1-month Game Pass Ultimate code. He left out one of the characters, so guess as good as yours. You have 32 characters to work with or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a safe code cracker, but shout out to him. What was I saying? So, yeah, they're going to dive into things like the AC vents, the detail of the rims of this versus that, the surfaces of that, and it'll be really microscopic. But
you know
overall,
the thing is, at the end of the day, is that when the players who are playing it, like an average gamer that's sitting down, are they really looking at that stuff, or you just want to play the game because it plays well?
I'm thinking that too, but I'm not going to use it as a cop out. Like, if you're going to zoom in on, is that grass there in the corner like it's supposed to? Because they already said that the game is seeing a significant downgrade in certain areas of the trackside stuff that they boasted about that it didn't even make to the PC version. So all this in the name of having a stable running game, but even PC's having some problems.
That's all that matters. You're playing the game. Yes, you do want it to look beautiful. You do want it to, you want the ray tracing there. You want the performance. It's all about how it plays at the end of the day, because we are playing the game, right? Yeah. We're not staring at it. I mean, if it was an art piece on the wall, sure, because you're staring at it, right? That's all you're doing with it. That's your only interaction. This is an interactive experience. That's what video games are. So therefore, at the end of the day, it's how it plays. Yeah, obviously, if the car models look like PS3 or like Xbox 360, sure, that's going to be an issue. But if it's not that, like, oh, well, the vents look a little bit funny over here, and the events are, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Gran Turismo has like this really incredible, realistic rendering of the taillights and headlights with that depth and that level of shine on the outside, and even the depth and shine and shadowing on the inside. Like, they figured out a way to nail that. And then sometimes Forza has some not great looking taillights compared to the competition. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I should also redeem myself that the third person camera for Gran Turismo 7 is horrible, awful. Also, the hood view, or the bonnet view, if I'm English or British, the hood view is awful in Gran Turismo. It looks like a what do you call those? Power Wheels. Because if this is your screen, the hood view is like, it's small. It's almost like you have this shrunken hood in front of you, like you're driving a Barbie car. But the third person camera has 3 levels of variation that I just found out about on Twitter, where the car will actually be allowed to move throughout the camera because it's stilted by default. So if you're playing Gran Turismo, go change that. I got a couple supers here, or a couple chats. Meat Pup, who's been a channel member for 17 months, says the new Assassin's Creed is good. He has a little hand wave. Macbound, a good friend of mine, says, "Hey, Colt and Mag, have a great show. Good listening in the morning.
Thank you.
Going to listen in the morning on the way to work. Like and share chat." Yeah. Yeah,
you better not listen to it in the morning. There was a whole lot of screaming in the first half of the shows.
Just go to that one part when we whispered for 4 minutes, and then you'll be good.
So maybe you want to wake up to that part. So probably just after an hour when we do the ASMR section.
Here, we'll do it like this,
hour
Meg.
of us screaming,
We'll do it like this. Good morning. Welcome to the XSC Podcast. Thank you for checking the show on demand. Meg, how are you doing this fine, beautiful fall morning?
Well, it's a very crispy morning here in Toronto, and the leaves are blowing ever so gently, and we just want to welcome you to the show. And it's been nothing but fantastic and wonderful. And yes, I don't always scream. I do have a very soothing voice. Ask the ladies. Ask your mother.
Meg, I just have to ask, what are you drinking this fine morning? It looks like you have a very delectable hot drink that is getting you through your day. What is it?
Yes, actually, I have here a pumpkin spice latte that was $18 at Starbucks. Who the hell pays $18 for a coffee? Are you out of your mind?
Imagine someone was like turning their sound up because we were whispering, and you just ramp up to this tirade on that.
Your daddy Kazada, he caught that one. Ask your mother. Yeah.
Ask your mother.
CryptoCan, don't say please stop. Because when you say things like please stop, you make us want to do it more. Carry on, Colt.
This next super chat is from DC Gaming. He sent $5 to help support the channel and also not only keep the studio lights on, but help feed my dog Loki, who has an obesity problem. He wakes me up at 4:30 in the morning with yelps and scratches and says, "Feed me, I'm fat." DC Gaming says that thoughts on Digital Foundry and the ray tracing downgrade from the reveal trailer, which I wish I would have read that 5 minutes ago. But yes, I agree, DC Gaming. They did point out a truth. There is a visual downgrade, and there's this grass that is just real. There's like 3 blades of grass where there was 70 blades of grass, and all in the name for optimization, but you hate to see it. RDX, son of Fett, I've not seen him in, it's not been soon enough. With a Canadian $13.99, he says, "Oh my gosh, season 5 of Halo Infinite's." Wait, I got to talk like him. I'm gonna pretend like I know how he talks. "Oh my gosh, season 5 is so hot. Halo Infinite season trailer campaign AI and Forge. 2 Master Chief armor sets, Flood cosmetics, and lots more. Oh my gosh, wanted some of these for decades, bro." How's that? That's how he sounds? RDX, thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, he's excited about Flood cosmetics. There was this one bit in the trailer, Mag, where there's like these pink crystals up on the cave walls, and you can shoot them, and they're made of needler crystals. So like a guy's running by through the map, and the other dude's like, "Boom, let me shoot those crystals." They explode, and they seek and take him in the back, and scratch that phrase. They get him in the back and knock him down, and it was so cool. I'm like, that could be really interesting. Can you imagine running around? "Oh, got this guy," and then needler explosion gets you. So awesome. Well, people are stoked though.
Hey man, listen. God bless. Go have fun and play what you like to play. I said that last week. I said it 2 weeks ago. Even though someone says I sound like a politician, I was being serious. Go and enjoy whatever you want, man. And if you want to go back and reinstall Halo after 2 years, do it. And as long as you're having fun, and vote for Meg, yeah. And oh my God. And you know what? We're just about to finish this show, and everything just got completely ruined. Risk It for the Biscuit finally showed up. Let me tell you something, Risk It. Go back and listen to the first 10 minutes. Yeah, go back and listen to the first 10 minutes of the show. We had some choice words for you, sir.
We gave a shout out to Risk It for the Biscuit. Yeah.
We had some fun at your expense, obviously. But anyways,
love it. Sappho said,
"Stop sending us DMs in the middle of the show. He's sending
I know. I
funny-
saw that. I'm like, if I click that, like Discord does this thing. If I click a different tab, I lose Meg's audio for a couple seconds. I'm like, I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark. I don't know what he's saying. He could be saying something. He could be saying anything. Sappho said, something I'll never pay attention to. You might as well zoom in 5,000% or something. Yes, I understand that Digital Foundry typically zooms in like 200%. They slow down 200% so they could show you something and you'll never really notice it. But, you know, I guess give props to the devs for putting in that detail that maybe you'll catch when you go into photo mode. The photo mode's not very good in this game either in Forza Motorsport. Like, I go into photo mode, I'm like, never mind. That doesn't look, it looks way better in motion. It's a weird thing. You'll see. Like when I play Cyberpunk, I go into photo mode, I'm like, oh, cool. Because it looks even better. Just so you guys know, a lot of games, when you go into photo mode, you're automatically at 30 frames, high quality mode. So the game will look better than when you go back and resume playing after you turn off photo mode, which is good, which is okay. Still looks cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's more we could talk about later, but that's pretty much what we wanted to get out to you guys. Hold on to your butts for the Digital Foundry reveal. Stand by for, I mean, it could be Wednesday, it could be Friday, the ABK closes, and Xbox will start talking about what they're going to do with those games, right, Meg? So we've got that coming.
I'd like to see that before, see what happens, and yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, take it from there. See how the week plays out with news and everything else. Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting week, or in the next few weeks anyway. And then the Digital Foundry video, I want to that that plays out. So yeah,
it's gonna be
fun.
I'll tell you what, Xbox has been high and hot in the news, and that's not changing in the coming weeks. And we may complain, or maybe the whole community complains about what's not going right or what's better than this or that. But right now, Starfield's really great. Even Forza Motorsports, really great. Despite some of the gripes that we're hearing. So I mean, it's a good time. And then there's more games you can handle, bro. But it's good. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We really appreciate it. You got us over to 500 likes. It's super late over in Canada. And even where Mag is in Canada, he's on the edge of the time zone. So you have to add an extra half an hour to that, plus the curvature of the Earth and the spin and obviously the space-time fabric continuum adds up to it's really late for you over there, right, buddy?
Yeah, it is. Scott Gamer Dude, this is actually just a full back cap. It's one size fit all. He was asking. It's on the website. It's on the Microsoft site, whatever. Just go on the swag. They got that.
go to swag.xbox.slagcom.
Yeah, something like that. But,
let me make sure that nothing gets hanging in the breeze. Looks like we're done with supers.
No, we got everything.
We did. I swear, sometimes I just lose we really appreciate you so much. This is the XNC Podcast. This is episode 120. Thank you for being here and putting up with ads that go in through there on Spotify. But it really, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for checking out the show. Let us know on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts in the replies if that's where you're checking it out. So I know. Thank you for being here. Check out the show after the fact. Send it to... Send the link to my dog, and he'll let everyone know tonight when he starts barking at 11 o'clock about XNC Podcast. Meg, I appreciate you so much. I always have a great time with you here. Enjoy your game this week, brother. Any last words you have for everybody before we hit the end button?
I just wanted to say, guys, it was a great show tonight. Chat, you guys were amazing. Grandpa Barbecue Gaming Cat, he also said, thanks, Cold and Mag, for XNC today. Listen, it was a wild show today. We attacked the fans as always. Listen, we're not afraid. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid. Not one of you. All right. So when you come at us, we're gonna come right back. That's the way it's gonna be. But anyways, joking aside, I know we're all just friends here. We're all having a great time. You guys are hilarious. The jokes in the chat make me laugh out. Like I have to cover my mouth sometimes when Colt is talking because some of the funny stuff that people say. Guys, keep it up. We appreciate every last one of you. And obviously. Yeah, we're watching, especially you, Magnum Westward. I saw what you said. So, okay. He says, if only we could lose Mag's audio forever. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so anyways, you guys are amazing. We love you, and we wouldn't be doing this without you. That's at the end of the day, because you know what? We ain't doing this for nobody. We're doing it for you, because we love talking to you guys. We love being in the community, and everything's awesome. So, guys, great show. We'll see you guys all real soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. One last thing I'll say before we go. When the show wraps and it's closed and you can watch it after the fact, if you get a chance, write in the comment section after it launches what game you're going to be playing this week, since we just started the week off. Thanks, everybody. We're going to get out of here. Have a good night. See you next week. And Xbox plus ABK, baby. We're out. Oh, yeah, this thing.